Hey guys, it's me, my face, and so many things. Today's happy dance is brought to us by coffee, because you don't go wrong with coffee. Naturally, it is in a Halloween mug, because that's how I do. If you're new here, my name is Andrea, and this is a channel about cross-stitch and anything else that crosses my mind. If you are a returning visitor, thank you for coming back. You know what to expect. Let's get the obvious things out of the way. It's been entirely too long since I made a video, and my roots need done. That's out of the way. Luckily, while I have not been making videos, I have been stitching like a crazy person, because it's kind of my whole personality. So I have a lot of things to share and show and chat about. So let's dive in. These are not in any particular order. They could be starts, they could be whips, they could be things that I found in the yard. We're going to get there when we get there. The first project I'm going to show you is from Hello from Liz Matthews. This is actually a Jingle Ball project from 23, maybe? This is, what is it actually called? Oh, now I don't even know. I think it's Santa's Ride. You'll be seeing it somewhere. Oh, I forget where I'm supposed to put everything. I continue to loathe this plaid. And anybody I have seen who actually finished this, and finished it looks so good, say that the plaid was like their favorite part. No, sir. No, I believe you're all lying is what the problem is. So I managed to fill in a little bit more across the bottom, and I did the December 25th and started to fill that in, because, you know, anything to avoid the plaid. There is a little bit more, I think there's a little more hill here, or no, maybe on this side. There's a little bit more to go over here, and then it will actually be done. And I do have every intention of finishing it as one of the Liz Matthews trees. I like the way she does them. I like that they're not very intense once you get the stitching done. You know, they essentially sit atop the tree stand. So you can take them off, you can swap them out. You don't have to, you know, nothing's sewn up at the bottom, because I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. But I will get this done. The next thing I have is the Prairie Schooler Santa from 2021. I am choosing to do the Santas kind of in the order of what I have that I like the most. I'm not doing them in any particular like number order, but I love this owl, and I love this raccoon, and yeah, I just couldn't stop on this one once I restarted it. I didn't restart the whole project. I just put it aside for like 2 years and then started stitching on it again. But I am making headway, except for clearly Santa's head. But that should come together pretty quickly. I will, it's January 1st, 2026, and I guess I can say I want this done for Christmas 2026. But, you know, we know not to, it's not overpromise. I also had this glorious idea that I was going to stitch all of the Prairie Schooler Santas, and I was going to stitch them all on 40 count so that I could finish them all as flat ornaments, the same size, and then I would have like a Prairie Schooler tree. I was trying to live the life of Vonna. Nobody can do that but Vonna. I have changed my mind in just about everything in the universe this past year, so I think my goal now is to have pillows for those. I think they look nice. I think they look good together in a group, like, you know, in a dough bowl or something like that. I just feel like they're more, I don't know, friendly. That's not the word I'm looking for. Squishy. I mean, they're squishy. So I am looking for squishy Santas rather than nice uniform Priscilla and Chelsea flat ornament type things. We'll see how far I get on that. This is actually in one of my few true project bags. And this was actually made, I got this in a Smalls Exchange at Stitch New England. I want to say now 3 years ago. Oh, I'd be darned if I can remember the name of the person who made it. But it's beautiful, and it's got, look at this little guy. He's so cool. But yeah, I think of that every time I have all my Prairie Schoolers in one bag. This is a Jingle Ball project from this year, 2025. And this is hands-on design. What is it called? Perforated Poinsettias. And it's actually on perforated paper. I'm not sure if that's getting blown out a bit, but you get the idea. I started it and I watched her class, so I can finish it eventually. The good thing I think about everybody that I've taken classes from at the Jingle Ball is, first, you can rewatch the class. That's easy. Second, they always provide paper instructions on how to do the finishes. And thirdly, I don't think there's been a single one that hasn't said, if you run into any trouble with this project, email me and I will help you. And I believe that Kathy Haberman will help me. Or, maybe Mr. HOD would help. I would delight in chatting with him. He seems like a nice man. And I believe he likes a good IPA beer. So we could bond. This is a project that I really did think that I could stitch up like in a weekend. It's intense. It's more intense than I thought it was going to be, which I guess is good because you're kind of getting more than you thought. I am not the hugest fan of stitching on perforated paper, but I love things that are on perforated paper. So maybe I just need to do it a little more, but hopefully this will give me more practice using it. Although what I hear is that they've discontinued actual perforated paper and they've gone to a more, I want to say PVC, but it's not like, it's plastic. It's going to be a plastic kind of material, but you haven't seen it yet. Don't know what it's going to be like. I might like it better. I might not like it at all. I'll find out. The next thing I worked on is also from Jingle Ball 2025. This is also Hello from Liz Matthews. And I'm showing you the picture here, I hope. She came up with this way of making it look like perforated paper, but stitching on fabric, which I find a lot easier. And the method that she uses to finish it's just pretty smart. It's pretty smart. She did the work. She figured it out. And so I have done these three. I actually did the stitching homework on this one because I was really excited to do this. And then, life. But I do at least have these done. So as soon as I am ready, my colors are, everything's a little pale right here, but maybe that's better. She gave us like 12 of these little patterns and basically said, pick 3 or 4 and we'll make the snow globe together. I was happy to do the stitching. I did not want to sit there and try to iron and things like that while I was learning. So I have waited on that. But I do know how to proceed. And if it comes out looking as well as what like hers came out looking, I'm going to have fun designing something for Halloween that can be finished in the same way. That'll be adorable. I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say, which is right on brand for me. Sitting through these classes, first of all, I have never taken a bad class like at the Jingle Ball. None of them that I would not recommend. Hands-on design is wonderful. Liz Matthews is wonderful. Blue Flower, wonderful. No complaints with the with the teachers. It's the students that made me crazy. And this is what I think. This is not a valid, well, it's valid, but we signed up to learn like the way that Liz Matthews finished her snow globes. That's what we signed up for in the class. But every step of the way, there were people asking questions saying, well, what if I don't want to use that? Well, what if I don't want to use that? Well, what if I think this would be better and this would be better? And she's like, you can do anything you want. You absolutely can. This is how I did it. So this is how I know works. But I just thought it was funny in like just all the classes that I was in that the first thing people would say to them, to the teacher is, but what if I don't want to do it that way? How do I do it that isn't the way that I signed up to learn? So I thought that was strange. But I am also the same person that when I'm looking at something, my first thought is, that's cool. How can I change it? What can I do to it? What would make it easier? How can this be easier for me? Because I need things to be easier. I really do. So I thought it was funny, but it just struck me, it strikes me every year, but this year it seemed to be like everything I was in was, hey, we're here to learn how to do perforated paper. Do we need to do this on perforated paper? Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of the thing. But I did think that was, let's let the teachers teach. And then ask if we can make changes or something. I don't know. Well, now I'm just babbling. What's this guy doing? We're not even talking about my hair right now. What are we not talking about? My hair. I'm stacking things and it's probably not a great idea. This is actually not Jingle Ball stitch that I'm absolutely positively in love with. And this is Witch's Hollow by the Primitive Needle. And I am so thankful that this has been released. I have waited so long to stitch this. In a way, I'm kind of surprised that I'm not done. But really, it's like I want it to last. It's so easy to stitch on. There are so many just little motifs to move around through. They're loose enough that, if something is off by a stitch, makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. But yeah, I think that's just coming out so nice. I'm pretty sure I have a note on here that the colors, some called for, some not. That's extremely helpful, but I think it's coming out nicely. I love working on it. I noticed that there are more patterns coming out. I may or may not have already purchased them. I mean, come on, the Primitive Needle. There are people paying hundreds of dollars for these, and now I have it for a reasonable and rational price. And it's not going to some third-party person who probably doesn't even know what it was. They just know that it sold on eBay for like $200, and that's where they started it. But yeah, I can't wait to do more work on this. It's almost time to move the Q-snap, which is exciting. The next thing I have to show you has just a little bit of progress on it. This is The Witch's Inn by Rovaris. And I added an H. It's a nice H. It's a lovely H. But yeah, that's about all I did there. I am considering, once I really kind of look at this, I may just call this done rather than do the the and is in, and there's a hat over here. I may do the hat. I might do the hat, but I don't know that I'm going to end up doing the whole thing. First of all, because I said, hey, I'm in the mood to stitch a small. Does that look small? No. Did I know how big it was? Yes. Did I still think somehow it was going to be a small? Yes. Yes, I did. In my defense, I was going to stitch it 1/1. But that wouldn't have made it a small. It just would have made it smaller. So we'll see how this one shakes out. The next thing I have to show you is a result of just a bad week of things and stuff. And I was looking at all my whips and I was angry at all of them. And I was angry at myself for not having things finished and this and that and the other thing. And I said, again, smalls. Pick some smalls and just, bang them out. And you're going to feel better about the things that you have finished, and you can fully finish them, and you can show them to people, and you can feel like you are actually part of the stitching community still. So I actually found smalls. Some. This is actually from DMC. It is Scandinavian Christmas towels. No, I'm not doing the towel. This is from Just Cross Stitch in 2017. So it's it's not older than I am, but still. But it is definitely out of my usual color scheme. It is out of my general style, but I like it. And my first thought was I'm just going to do the tree. And then once I finished the tree, I said, well, I might as well do the little pot it sits in. And then once I did the pot, I said, well, the border will give me something to work around when I make it into a pillow or something. So this is destined to be a pillow. But I think this came out, or is coming out, really cute. And I've probably done 5 hours of stitching on this total, like over the space of 2 days. So it really does stitch up quickly. It's a good use of my scrap fabric, especially like I have a ton of these from remember the mystery linen and things like that? I have a ton left over. So it's good that these are getting used. And I have like just tons of scraps from my scrap bag in here. So as I pick things to work on, I can pick from that fabric or anything I want, but I can use up some scraps. Of course, I'm also obsessed now with wrapping things around other things and lacing them up the best. So, maybe that would look cute on a spool. I don't know. We'll find out. One way or another, it's going to get finished. It's going to be a thing that I can have, not just a bag in the corner. The next thing is actually a finish. This is one of the smalls that I chose. This is from the Scarlet House, and it's called Santa's Helpers. And I'm calling it finished. There's supposed to be snow down here, and the white that I went to B5200 and it still was not showing up. And so I wasn't going to argue with it. I just decided that it didn't need to be snow down there. So this is the finished product. It's 1/1 on the crazy old mystery linen, but it's so cute. So my desire to make things into pillows, if I made that into a pillow, what in the world would you stuff in there? Yeah, it's too little for that. But I'll find something to do with it. I was actually also considering making this into something that wraps around. Like maybe this way. Like that, around like a little wooden spool or something. I thought that might be cute. Again, we'll see how many circuits are firing when I actually go to fully finish these. Speaking of fully finishing, this is actually the first of the little smalls that I decided to do, and I picked it because I absolutely knew that I could finish it in like an hour and have something to show for it. So this is just called Pumpkins. It's from the Little Stitcher, and I don't have a publication on here, so I have a feeling that this was like a freebie on their site, but those are just pumpkins. And I love how I finished it. I love how I finished it. I really feel like that is mostly a square. I may have to like stick something on the corner just to kind of, I don't know what's going on there. But I even backed it. I backed it with sticky felt and everything. And I use sticky board because sticky board, it's what it's for. It's where it's at. But it's just little pumpkins. And I love that it's done. Like I could just stick this on a shelf somewhere and it's done. It's a thing now. It's not just an idea. There is something zen in there about that, but I'm too tired to know what it was. So that is all the stitching that I worked on. I've also done a lot of designing. I've done a lot of poking at the Etsy store. In other news, I have an Etsy store. I never remember to tell anybody about it, but Shadow House Stitchery, you can get there from link in the description. I've just been having fun. I design things that I want to stitch, and I share them because I think somebody else might want to stitch them. So it's just for fun, but I'm enjoying it. I did get on a kick of trying to pillows. I wanted pillows. I don't know why. I don't know why I want all the pillows, but I want all the pillows. But if you remember, it used to be hanging up here. It was made by my stitchy godmother, Laura. She made me a pillow. She also made me this little, let's call it a collage, because I believe the cat comes from one pattern, the tree comes from another, this comes from somewhere else. And she just put that all together for me and sent it. And I just kind of had it hanging up, flapping in the breeze. But instead I made it into a pillow. I made it into a pillow. The only thing I really have left to do is hide my seam in the back. Do you love this fabric? I have had this fabric for probably 8 years. It was like a fat quarter that I got from Joann's forever ago. But I enjoyed doing it. I don't know how I feel. I feel like my corners get a lot pointier than other people's corners. And I don't know if I've overstuffed or understuffed. I've watched a lot of Anna. I've watched a lot of Helen D. I'm not entirely sure where I go amiss there, but I don't think it looks bad. I was going to make cording to go around it. I may still. But one thing about making the cording is it uses long lengths of DMC. And most of my DMC is already on floss drops and cut to a stitching length. So I have floss I can use, but it's too short to make one long continuous. I gotta figure that out. Or I just have to buy a couple of skeins of something new. So that will happen. But otherwise, I have a thing and it can sit on a shelf and I can point at it and say, I did part of that. Quite some time ago, I stitched Halloween Town. This is from Raise the Roof, which is Teresa Vanette, which is Shakespeare's Peddler, which is Kitten Stitcher. More aliases than my grandmother, and we'll talk about that someday. But I stitched this ages ago, and it's an unusual size, and I never found a frame that would fit it, and so I would look at custom framing, and that was like way expensive. So it was just sitting in the box of shame, waiting for me to figure something out. Sorry, my laptop is restarting for no apparent reason. Well, that's unusual. We'll find out what caused that in a little bit. So I couldn't find a frame that I liked, and it was just languishing. And then I said, Andrea, you just spent the last year making this long, skinny Towne for the Smalls Exchange. Why don't you just do what you did with that? And so I did. This is actually the jar that I first bought to put the Smalls Exchange on. And when I got it home, I think it was this was like a bit too big. My laptop says no bootable device. That's not a good sign. Let's just finish this. So this was too big for the one and this was a Dollar Tree. I don't know what it was. It was like probably $3. But I just did like I did on the other one. And I wrapped it around. And now it's a thing. It sits on a shelf. And it acts rationally. It's a thing. So I'm pretty darn proud of myself for realizing that I already knew the answer to my own question. Take my wins where I can get them. I honestly have not had really any haul. I've been pretty good about stitching from stash. I've been stitching patterns I already own, or swapping out colors so that I can use up floss that I already have. But I did treat myself at the Jingle Ball. This is the Lap and Loops. I think it's exclusive to this year's Jingle Ball. This is Jingle All the Way. It's 40 count linen from Lap and Loops. And I will bring this right about, yes. That's pretty accurate. This is lovely. This is just lovely. So I have to think of something. The thought process to me is we got to find something big and beautiful to put on this. And the rest of me is saying, smalls. You only need smalls. You have so many big projects to... We'll find out what happens. I think we already know what's going to happen. It's going to go in with my fabric drawer thing, and I'll forget about it until, I don't know, 2032, if we make it that long. Anyway, that is pretty much what I have been up to for stitching. Like I said, I have been putting some things in the Etsy store. I encourage you to go and check it out. Just visiting and liking things on Etsy gives a little, it tells Etsy that it's worth people's time to look at. So every little bit helps. I have been working. We've had a good holiday season. I mean, hectic and crazy, exhausting, but we're all still upright. So yeah, that's been about it. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your likes and even your dislikes. And thank you for your comments. I love to read through them. I'm very happy to answer any questions. But I am trying to get better about getting to them more quickly. So hopefully we can have a conversation. As always, thank you for being my community. Bye, guys.